She was asleep in seat 8A when the aircraft shuddered, not the gentle tremble of routine turbulence but a deep, metallic groan that felt like fear traveling through aluminum bones. The cabin lights flickered once, twice, and the sound of the engines changed in a way that made every instinct inside her tighten. Somewhere between clouds and destiny, at 35,000 feet, a simple commercial flight quietly crossed the line into something unforgettable. Moments later, the captain's strained voice echoed through the cabin, asking if any combat pilots were on board, and the question sliced through the air like a blade, cutting straight into the past she had spent years trying to bury. Before the story goes any further, pause for a second. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet strength hidden inside ordinary people, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel Soul Tale, where stories are meant to heal as much as they move. Her name was Lena, and sleep had been her escape. Not from tiredness alone, but from memories that refused to stay silent when she was awake. The war had ended years ago, at least on paper, but inside her it still lived, sharp and restless. She had once flown combat missions over scorched landscapes, making impossible decisions in seconds, carrying lives on her wings and losses in her chest. When she left the military, she told herself she was done with the sky forever. No more radios crackling with urgency, no more red warnings flashing like heartbeats. She became a civilian, took a quiet job, and chose window seats because they felt less demanding than cockpits. Seat 8A was supposed to be nothing more than a place to rest her head and forget who she used to be. The sudden drop of the plane tore her out of sleep. Oxygen masks fell like pale ghosts, and the calm routines of flight attendants dissolved into tightly controlled urgency. Fear spread through the cabin in waves, louder than crying children and shaking hands. Lena felt her pulse quicken, a familiar rhythm she hated for how quickly it returned. Her body remembered before her mind allowed it. The smell of recycled air, the pitch of the engines, the subtle tilt of gravity all spoke a language she had once been fluent in. She stayed still, telling herself she was just another passenger now, just another person with nowhere to be but afraid. The captain's announcement changed everything. The words were careful but heavy, carrying the truth that something was very wrong. A system failure, weather complications, limited visibility. The request for a combat pilot was not dramatic, not desperate, but it landed on her chest with the weight of unfinished business. Around her, passengers looked at one another, silently hoping someone else would stand up, someone braver, someone more qualified. Lena closed her eyes and felt the war push against her ribs, asking to be acknowledged. Her struggle was not about skill. She knew she could fly. She had flown through worse than this, through darkness and fire and uncertainty that had no civilian equivalent. Her struggle was about fear of becoming that person again, the one who lived in constant alertness, who measured life in margins and probabilities. She had spent years learning how to soften, how to exist without adrenaline humming in her veins. Standing up now felt like undoing all that healing, like reopening a door she had nailed shut with therapy and silence. But then the plane dipped again, harder this time, and a scream cut through the cabin, raw and human. Lena thought of the people around her, strangers whose lives had nothing to do with her past, whose stories would end abruptly if no one acted. She thought of the promises she made to herself when she left the service, that she would never let fear decide who she was. Slowly, deliberately, she unbuckled her seatbelt. The simple click echoed louder in her ears than any gunfire she remembered. Walking down the aisle felt like moving through water. Every step was heavy with doubt, with the weight of eyes watching her, wondering if this quiet woman could possibly be what the captain needed. When she reached the cockpit, the world narrowed into focus the way it always had when it mattered most. Instruments told their stories in blinking lights and numbers, and despite the chaos, something inside her settled. This was not glory or heroism. This was responsibility, the same kind she had carried before, stripped of uniforms and ranks and reduced to its purest form. She assessed the situation quickly, drawing on instincts sharpened by years of survival. Weather patterns, system redundancies, manual control options. The plane was wounded but not doomed. What it needed was steady hands and a mind that did not panic when alarms screamed. As she guided the crew through adjustments, the noise in her head quieted. The memories did not vanish, but they stopped hurting. For the first time in years, her past did not feel like a burden. It felt like a tool. The descent was tense, every second stretched thin with possibility. In the cabin, passengers clutched armrests and whispered prayers, unaware of the internal battle being fought just meters away. Lena felt the familiar burn of focus, the sharp clarity that came when fear was acknowledged but not obeyed. She did not think about medals or recognition. She thought about the simple outcome she wanted, the wheels touching ground, the sound of engines easing instead of screaming. When the plane finally broke through the clouds and the runway lights appeared like a promise, something fragile and bright cracked open inside her. The landing was not perfect, but it was safe, and when the wheels met the earth, the impact felt like release. Applause erupted in the cabin, mixed with sobs and laughter, the messy music of relief. Lena sat back, suddenly exhausted, aware that she had crossed another line, this one toward acceptance instead of escape. As passengers disembarked later, many never knew her name or her story. They only knew they were alive. Lena returned to seat 8A briefly, touching the armrest as if to say goodbye to the woman who had boarded the plane hours earlier. She understood now that healing did not mean erasing who she had been. It meant allowing that person to exist without shame. The sky no longer felt like an enemy or a battlefield. It felt like a reminder that strength, once earned, never truly leaves. If this story has touched your heart, if it made you feel something real, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Soul Tales so more stories like this can reach those who need them. And before this story ends, we have a special request. Please comment below and tell us what part of this journey moved you the most, because your words matter more than you know. Lena walked out of the airport into ordinary daylight, just another traveler with a carry-on and tired eyes. But inside her, something had shifted. She had learned that second chances are not always about starting over. Sometimes they are about standing up when the world asks who you really are, and answering without fear.